So now we're going to do another set of breakouts. So this time we're going to focus on mentoring. And this time there's just 2 questions. And the questions are, describe one valuable lesson or concept you learned from your predecessor or from another RD from a different region. As an example, I will say that when I became RDA, my RD was very much, and this was in 04, 03, was very much in favor of getting out into the areas, and which is something Chicagoland really didn't do much at that time. That's an example of that, and that was something that he taught me. And then the second question is, what is the one piece of advice you most want to give to your successor? And in my case, would be to listen, is to listen. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at here, sort of putting on some clothes to the concept of mentorship, what works best and what is something that you need. So we're going to go ahead and set up the breakouts again. So go ahead, Dennis. Everyone's back in. Okay, so we're going to repeat what we did last time, and I will try to be better apprised as to who is what. Secretary, group 1.
Okay, guys, thank you. I'm an addict, Sarah. And so we had some really good conversation from people with different experience from all over. As far as valuable lessons or concepts from predecessors, I think that the consistent message that we really heard was to develop your own opinions and your own connections with an open mind, and to really make sure that even with your other experience, that you just need to make sure that you're willing to learn. Really open-mindedness and learning was really the consistent message we heard there. And as far as predecessors, we had a lot of people that were newer to this position, but the consistent message there was you need to pay attention and take good notes and have a willingness to learn, and not be afraid to speak up. So we had a lot of really good conversation though.
All right, thank you. Show of hands, yay. Okay, so the secretary for table 2 or group 2 was Katie, so I don't know who you want to have speak.
Sure. Hi, admin Katie. I'm just going to share my screen. So we decided that the most important piece, or for question 1, Dawn is going to share all about the RD support team.
Yeah, I'm Don. I'm an addict in the RD from San Diego, Imperial County. In our region, we use an RD support team for 2 parts. It has to do with mentorship. We use it to go over the CAT and any other related items. And it's made up of RCMs, GSRs, and interested members. This last cycle, we had 8 people regularly attend on Zoom. In prior years, back during the SSP, that grew to about 20. It was through that effort that we were able to make the amendments to the motions on the local part of the SSP. And how it plays out in our region is it's from that RD support team that normally the AD gets voted. Me and the AD have for years have been going around in our region looking at young members who are just getting into service. We continue to challenge them to move up into admin positions at the area level and then on over to the region, eventually getting them involved in regional subcommittee work, and eventually get them to be part of the RD support team. And through that effort, they normally will accept a nomination for an AD. And so that's how within our region that we build people who are willing to do this position.
Awesome. Thank you, Dawn. And we had some wonderful pieces of advice. So here are some of them, but we would like Ivy to share on her most valuable piece of advice she'd like to share with people.
Thanks, Katie. Well, when I started, I learned that it was important to not only not push my own opinion, but in fact, to not even let the body necessarily know what my opinion was. But at the same time, like as RDs, we've gathered all this information, we've studied it, we've given it a lot of thought. So it seems sort of a waste to not share it at all. What I do is I try and, when I present a proposal to the group, say, here is some of the discussion I've heard about this proposal. I've heard, you know, these arguments in favor of the proposal, and I've heard these arguments that, you know, maybe we shouldn't go ahead with this proposal. And I try and present the opposite viewpoint from my own in the best possible way. So my view is going to be in there, but my goal, I guess, is that the group will not be able to tell which is my viewpoint, because I'm that neutral in presenting the different viewpoints and that careful to put forward the differing viewpoint in the most positive way. Yes, that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Show of hands for table 2, group 2, breakout 2. The secretary of the next one was Chris, so I will turn it over to him.
We're going to have Daniel speak on the question 1, and then I'll just go through a bunch of bullet points for question 2 real quick.
Okay.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I'm Daniel. I'm an addict.
Mm-hmm.
So for mine, you know, I talked about, you know, that I wasn't an alternate very long. I was an alternate for one conference, but as far as the term goes, I stepped into a midterm and got elected to RD early. And, you know, what was really beneficial for me was relying on each other throughout the zone. You know, we sit together, like Plain State Zone generally, and I assume would have this year had we not been on Zoom. You know, we sit together as a zone and rely on each other to you know, to figure out what's going on, or to, you know, to communicate. You know, if somebody is not understanding what's going on the floor, you're able to rely on more than just you and your alternate, you know. And you know, as a zone, you know, we have done a lot of things to bring each other together, to develop and foster those relationships. Like everybody's mentioned so far, it's so important to just have those relationships with other delegates so you can communicate and figure out, you know, what's going on together. So that's it.
Thank you. And for question 2, the advice that we'd like to pass on to the successor, a lot of us felt like reading and doing your homework is incredibly important. A lot of, as you know, like a lot of information comes out through just one single conference cycle. So there's a lot of reading involved. So get used to that. Do your homework, bring back accurate information, not just like your opinion, how to build the relationships with other delegates, as Daniel was saying, and don't be afraid to speak what you think is the truth. So you're going to have to speak up too. That's all.
All right, thanks, Chris. So Troy, you were the secretary for room 4.
Yes, and Matt, can we rope you into this?
Sure. Addict named Matt. One valuable lesson we learned from our predecessors, we had a number of them. Most of them revolved around communication in one form or another, how to clearly present information in a non-biased manner, you know, clear, unopinionated information, how to present that information. It seemed to be a majority of them were based around that. Can we scroll down?
Mm-hmm.
The one piece of advice we would give our predecessor, again, a lot of it really goes back to communication and making yourself accessible, reaching out to other resources, whether it be other RDs in your zone, the board, and, you know, the ability to listen and find common ground was very important in Chicago. And, you know, my thing was just not to take things too personal either, that no matter how hard you do try to reach out and find common ground, there's always going to be people that are going to make things difficult. And that's just kind of a part of the job, is working through that, and having a bit of a thick skin is kind of important as an RD.
Okay, thanks. Show of hands for table group breakout 4. Next, Rob.
I'm an addict. My name's Rob. So these are the items that we had discussed. So we talked about valuable lessons. Many of us talked about being prepared. before you get there, whether it's with material or where you're going to be sitting at the conference. Just make sure you're prepared to, when you leave, what material you need, what you need to do when you get there. You don't need to know it all. Listen, be a good listener. Sometimes be effective communicator. It has a lot to do with listening. Communicate well, be objective when you're expressing things to your constituents in your region. Not to have an opinion, be objective. Learn how to manage your time. Time is valuable, so learn how to manage your time. Stay focused. Be where you have to be at the times you need to be, and be focused on the issues. And do some networking. You know, there's a lot of people there outside the region and in the World Service Conference, and start networking with people. What is one piece of advice you most want to give your successor? Take time to pause and reflect why we serve. What's the purpose of being a RD alternate? What's the whole purpose there? We're there to serve and help the message get to the still suffering addict. Be proactive. Don't wait for the issues to come to you. Look at something that you can tackle. You know, look ahead. You know, get in the engine. Don't, you know, ride in the caboose. Trust your instinct. If it doesn't seem right, maybe it's not right. Ask somebody. It's that little soft voice inside telling you something might be wrong. Ask somebody. And then don't take everything for face value. You got a lot of people that sound good and they're able to talk, and because they're so elegant, the consensus-based decision-making meter might start moving over to the favorable, because you got one person talking very eloquently and using like words that Shakespeare uses, and it starts to sound like really convincing. So just try, you know, don't take everything for face value. Question everything. Don't be afraid to question things, and don't be afraid to be questioned.
Okay, thank you very much.